city council at large. And remember, when you get to primary, you can vote for 3. And this fall, you'll be able to vote for 3. First candidate at large is Beringer Jr. Thank you.
If this isn't nervous enough, Kate, why don't you go first? Hi everybody, I'm Beringer Jr. and I'm running for South Bend County Council's at-large position. For those that are not necessarily familiar, there are 9 seats on the council, 6 independent districts within the city, and then there are 3, as you said, at-large positions. The 3 at-large positions represent the entirety of the whole city. I'm a family man. I'm married almost 18 years to my wife Amy. We have 2 beautiful children, and they go to school here in the local community. I'm a realtor in the area, and I'm running because it's time to restore South Bend. It's time to restore the faith in the community, restore our neighborhoods, restore the opportunities for each and every one of us to be able to have a safe and secure environment for our families. Safe enough to be able to walk in our neighborhoods at night, safe to be able to walk our kids, walk our dogs, secure in our opportunities to be able to provide for our families independently of any government assistance or any other opportunities that we need. We need to be able to provide the jobs back in the area that have gone away far too quickly. I'm Beringer, and I'm running for City Council at large, and I invite you to vote for me in 2 weeks for the at-large position. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates, I don't know if I did mention, you do have up to 3 minutes, and I can give you a 30-second warning when you have 30 seconds of that left. Alrighty. The next candidate would be Mike Niedzwalski, who was one of the people who was en route and having trouble getting here, so we will hopefully get to hear from Mike later. That would take us to Derek Dieter did not respond, so we have Gavin Ferlic.
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you here today. My name is Gavin Ferlic, born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, attended the University of Notre Dame as an undergraduate, earned a law degree and a master's in business from Indiana University in Bloomington, and I currently work as an independent business consultant at Innovation Park in Notre Dame. A lot of people have asked me, why are you running? Why are you doing this? It's certainly not a career move. If I am elected, I will not accept any salary or benefits from the city. Rather, I think South Bend needs a new direction. It needs some new leadership. The 3 main tenets of my campaign are economic development, public safety, and education, with the main focus being on economic development. Unfortunately, right now in South Bend, we suffer from chronically high unemployment that's consistently 2 to 3 points higher than the state and national average. We need to look to new solutions, new ideas, and we have a tremendous opportunity with this election cycle to bring in some new ideas, to bring in some new solutions, to really see our city prosper. I'm Gavin Ferlic. I'm running for South Bend Common Council at large. I encourage you to visit my website, gavinferlic.com, and thank you again for hosting this event. I appreciate it, and thank you for listening today.
We did not hear from Buddy Griffiths, or Ralph Miles, or Calvin Poindexter. I'm checking to make sure none of these people are here, we just didn't realize it. So our next candidate for council at large is Dustin Saunders.
Hello, thanks everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Dustin Saunders. Was born and raised here in South Bend, lifelong resident of the West Side. Attended Kennedy, Dickinson, and LaSalle for my schools through the South Bend School Corporation. I'm married with 8 children. Yes, 8. I live actually 3 or 4 doors down here on the port and was born and raised on Johnson Street. The reason I'm running is I'm just really tired of the way our city's direction has been going. Year after year, we get the same old stuff from the same people that have been running our city for the last 40 plus years. And, one of the examples I like to give people when I'm out knocking on doors is that look over at LaSalle Square. That was built when I was 2 years old. and it was virtually empty and gone by the time I was 22. If that rate continues, there will be nothing left of the city of South Bend by the time my kids are my age. So it's time to change the direction. It's time to have new leadership in the mayor's office, which I'm incredibly excited about. And it's time to get new leadership on the council. It's too many times do we have people that take these positions for their own personal benefit. It's time that we do what's best for the people of our city and the future generations that are going to live in this community. It's not about me. It's not about what I can do for myself. It's what we can do for the city. And we really, really need to, right now is a turning point. If we don't do it now, it may never happen. Thank you.
All right. Okay, did not hear from Stephanie Pfeifer, and Karen White is attempting to get here, but has experienced some kind of family emergency, so maybe we'll hear from Karen later. That would take us to Council District 1, where, did we get Eric here? He had said he would be here, but I didn't see him sign in. Okay, well, we'll see what happens there. Mike Stack.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. My name is Mike Stack. I'm running for City Council in District 1. South Bend is my hometown, born and raised here, and lived here pretty much all my life except for 4.5 years down at Indiana University. And then I ended up marrying a Purdue grad, go figure. My wife and I, we live in a nice neighborhood up in District 1 in the Cross Creek area. We have a daughter who's going to be 3 on June 30th, who, having parents that went to IU and Purdue, she'll probably go to Ball State. We'll see what happens there. I am running because I'm just not happy with what has happened to my hometown. I love South Bend. I have a deep passion for the city that probably started when I had to go through the Huskies department at Sears at age 4. I was a big kid, but we slimmed down, and now we're starting to go the other way. But that's okay. I'm 42 years old, so that happens. What I stand for is economic development, keeping the jobs that are here and making it easy for them to stay here, attracting businesses that are looking to relocate, making it convenient for them to set up and thrive here, public safety. I believe that our police officers and firefighters deserve to be more than made a bargaining chip when a local option income tax is on the table. That's not only insulting to me, but very insulting to those fine law enforcement and public safety officers. And also, I would just encourage to run local government like you run your house or a business, common sense, put our needs ahead of our wants. These are the things I stand for because as I've been going door to door in my district over the last several weeks, these are the things that I'm hearing from people. And it's nice to know that I'm in agreement with that, and so I was on the right track when I established that early on. I'm having a blast going door to door in my district. It has just been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And know that if I am elected, you will have a voice if you are in District 1. It will be transparent. I'm beholden to no one, no particular group. I'm only beholden to the good people of District 1. Thank you very much.
Also running for Council District 1, Marty Yersey, but I didn't see him sign in. He had intended to be here. Andrew B. Jones said he thought he had a conflict, though he was going to try. Didn't work out. Didn't hear from Ricky Clee or Tim Scott. All right. So that takes us to Council District 2, Henry Davis Jr.
Thank you for the applause and thank you for being here. Thank you to the two groups of Common Sense, as well as the other group for putting this on. It's never a dull moment when we have civic engagement as fine for the democracy. The people show up and they are willing to sit and listen and make a good judgment based upon those who are running for elected office. I'm running my record. I am running on fiscal responsibility. I'm running on the fact that we understand what tax abatements are and how they've done good work for us. I'm running on the fact that we need to make sure that we have proper oversight of things such as tax abatements. The example that I can use really quick is the one that we had at AJ, right, where we were giving them tax abatement and kept extending tax abatement and turned around and they left out of here without any notice, and then we're stuck with a bill. We're stuck with a building that we have to sell or somehow fill with another business. I'm also running the fact that we have an imbalance of nonprofits in the city. Over 50% of our land in the city of South Bend is nonprofit. It makes it very hard to recruit new businesses to come into the area to invest in the area. On top of that, it drains the tax base. And so when we're dealing with these types of fiscal responsibilities, it begs the question of what are we doing and how we're going to make sure that we are recruiting and make sure that we are holding businesses accountable for coming in here, using tax abatements, or even nonprofits that are here that provide a great service, give a great service, but how many more do we need? I'm also running the fact that we need to make sure that we have equitable budgeting, meaning that those who have at least get more than those who don't need as much. We have an example of that when we talk about the west side of the river versus the east side of the river. I'm not going to put a corner on it, but I'm just going to say the west side of the river versus the east side of the river, where you have a situation where 8th Street Commons has sucked some of the life out of the downtown area, and now downtown business owners are looking for some type of lifeline so that to make sure they can survive what has happened at 8th Street Commons. There's only so much money in a given area. And so when you have a developer that's willing to invest into the city, they're going to go where the movement is going. Well, the movement is going on to the edge of the city versus the inside of the city. We have the existing businesses that are downtown that need our help and need our support. And so we need to make sure that we keep the heart of our city, which is within the second district, which is downtown, vibrant so that we can continue to attract and recruit new people and make sure that the people that are already here are happy with their living space within their environment. I'm also running on civic responsibility. My civic responsibility as follows. I'm a council person. I'm elected to serve a district. I have over 20,000 people that I represent in the city of South Bend in District 2. And we have to make sure during the course of this civic responsibility that we are providing jobs. I had the opportunity to sit as the only loan councilman to make sure that we have a resolution that recruits businesses into an issue park. I've had the opportunity to go to Albany, New York to make sure what we were doing as far as bringing in nanotechnology. I had the opportunity to go out to Napa Valley, the school corporations, to look at New Tech High School and try to put these things together as to what our vision is and where we're headed here in the city of South Bend. I've also was able to help put together a jobs bill, a local jobs bill that allows minority contractors and vendors to be at a set of percentage so that those who never really have a chance to build jobs for the city have an opportunity now to gain employment but also take care of their families. Thank you. I've also been really hardcore in making sure that we have street paving. We've looked and seen there's two main thoroughfares, Western Avenue and Lincoln Way, being neglected for a number of years. This year was, well, a couple of years ago was the first year that we've seen Lincoln Way and Western Avenue beginning paved. We've seen new infrastructure updates at Martin Luther King Center as well as the Charles Black Center within the second district. And this is all on watching me over the last 3 years. Education, prior to education, we have an art program that was installed over at the Martin Luther King Center and Charles Black Center. I won a state award through IUSB. This is a partnership. We also have Reform Community Relations, which is a subcommittee that I'm the chairman of. That committee meets with the school board regularly. So we're working to make sure that our school board and our local government is working together in concert so we can forge a new beginning and a new future for our students. I am writing the record that I will not sell out my district for party purposes. I will not sell my people out. I will make sure that I am standing strong and firm for the people of the second district. Thank you.
Also running for Council District 2, Pfeifer.
I'm going to stand down here. Can you hear me? No.
Oh, I can do that. Now watch, we'll get tremendous feedback here. Test.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Charlotte Pfeifer Dillon. My husband is right here, Virgil Dillon, on the stage. and I'm running for re-election to the South Bend City Council. I say a re-election because I was represented the 2nd District from 1996 through 2007. And actually being in this building with the pastor and a lot of people here, this is home for me. The neighborhood that we're in, Mrs. Ellison, we meet here every month. I also live just right across the street. So this is the 2nd District, and I love it. Let me tell you what it is I love about the 2nd District. If you look around this room, it's very representative. The 2nd District is very diverse, and if we have elderly people, we have young couples with children, we have middle-agers like myself and my husband, we have plenty of single people, we have people who are on welfare, we have educators, we have people that work at the universities, we really do represent this whole city, the 2nd District. That's what I love about it. The center of government is also represented in the 2nd District. We have public housing, we have historic neighborhoods, so we have everything. I moved here in 1965, right out of high school. And I moved here because I really love this community. Growing up in Niles, Michigan, I always wanted to live here. I saw Central High School, Mike Warren, and all the kids, getting out of school, really represented black students, white students, Latino students, Polish students, all working together. Where I'm from, it was very homogenous, and I was not part of the homogeny. So I wanted to move here and be part of this vibrant city. I really love this community. I have a master's degree from Indiana University South Bend, and for years and years I worked in corrections, in community corrections, and kept young people out of prison, helped them get off of drugs, helped them get jobs, helped them regain their dignity, take care of their families. And then I moved on to community corrections, and I also had a treatment center where I helped people get off of drugs. Young people all the time, and that's what's wonderful about this community, people come up to me who I knew 20 years ago, and they bring their children and thank me and my team, not just me, the people I work with, for helping them regain their dignity to have a good life. So after working in community corrections, working in drug programs, I now work at Indiana University South Bend, where I help some of those same people and their children and grandchildren now get higher education. We know that the difference between a high school graduate or a high school dropout is $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, even more than that. So that's what I'm doing now.
30 seconds.
I'm running again because the people in the community asked me to run again. The last thing I did in November of 2007, after I knew I wasn't going to be serving, was I passed a vacant housing and vacant building ordinance because I cared about all the vacancies that we see around here. The reason I'm running again is because nothing has been done with that ordinance. LaSalle Square that was mentioned, I helped get the TIF district changed so that people at LaSalle Square could use the money from Blackthorn to develop LaSalle Square. Nothing has happened. And so nothing has happened in the 2nd District since I've left. In fact, it's gotten worse. People that live in the district asked me to run, and that's why I'm doing it. So I ask you for your vote. You won't be sorry. Thank you.
Which takes us to District 3, where our first candidate will be Chris Adamo.
It's all right, I understand.
All right.
First, thank you to citizens, and thank you, Pastor, for letting us use your beautiful church. I enjoyed discussing the history with you. Sorry, it's better. My name is Chris Adamo. I'm running for City Council District 3. It's the River Park, Wayne Street area. Grew up in South Bend, Scottsdale neighborhood. Went to Ball State, so if your daughter decides to go there, it's not that bad of a decision. I bought my first house, like I said, in River Park about 5 years ago. I was semi-frustrated when it was attempted to be burglarized about 6 months after I bought it. Disheartened 6 months later when it happened again. And then just angry, sad, whatever, about a year after that when it happened the third time. It got me thinking, what are some of the issues that cause crime? And I think the biggest one is a lack of a strong economy. There are several things we can do, and several things that South Bend needs to do, I think, to foster economic growth. That tech park is great, but we got to get businesses there. We have to give them some incentive to come, and after they're here, we have to give them even more incentive to stay. You know, some type of, again, tax abatement if they hire new people. That's a great idea, but we got to see it through, and we have to get them here. Because if businesses don't come, families are not going to come. And families make neighborhoods safe. Families buy houses. Families keep an eye on their neighbor's property. And families call the cops when something's not right. And that's the basis of my platform. I want to make our neighborhood safe because I want to raise a family. I'd like it to be in South Bend, but I need incentive to stay. And currently I don't see that incentive. I see, like I said, in River Park where myself, my neighbors are being threatened, being burglarized, not on a yearly basis, once a year, twice a year. It's too much. And like I said, encouraging that growth in business will help families come in and stay. I see quite often signs coming into the city. South Bend, building a 21st century city. Okay, that's great. I want a 21st century city, but we're here, and where's it at? Okay, let's move forward. I hear stories of people on the council bickering about other members using technology at council meetings. Why? That's awesome. Let's encourage that. You know, honestly and truly. That's what we need, and that's the mentality we need in this city. We need some life in here, and it can't just be business as always. If it was business as always, you know, we might still have manufacturing jobs, but we don't, okay? And that's what the shift needs to be. Real quickly again, my name's Chris Adamo. I'm a Christian conservative Republican, in that order, because his word and his law is first. And I want to thank you, and I encourage you to vote for me in the 3rd District. If you have any questions, I'll be here all night. Thank you.
Also running in the 3rd, we have Cole Bell.
Hello. No, sorry. Underneath. No, underneath. Sorry. Sabotage. There we go. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Cole Belt. I'm running for the 3rd District, Common Council Republican nomination. The reason I decided to run was because my wife and I found out we were going to have a daughter. And my grandparents moved to this area during the Depression because they knew that they could build a better future for their children in this area. And when I started looking around and looking at that, I decided I want to leave something for my daughter. And the reason I'm running is to make sure that this city is viable for her. The reason I want to go in is, number one, first and foremost, bring employment back. Unfortunately, we've lost some good employers. They've moved. What we have to do is we have to look to change the tax structure to become more competitive with other counties, and we also have to lower the taxes for residential properties so that working families are going to want to move in, start families, start businesses, do the things that made South Bend great. And that's the motto of my campaign. I want to make South Bend great again. And the things I want to do are very lofty. They're very uncommon, but in an uncommon time, you need common sense leaders to step up and come up with ideas. I want to work on preventing crime. I want to work, Wayne Curry, the mayoral candidate, has an idea that will focus police resources in getting on to nuisance crimes, working to stop those in neighborhoods. Also, I want to propose an ordinance that will keep sex offenders from living in neighborhoods, from a school, park, or playground. And the reason I want to do that is because I want families to look at South Bend and go, this is the place where I want to start my family and make my life better and make my children's lives better. My name is Cole Belt. this is the shameless plug part of it. You can find me on Facebook, Cole Belt for Common Council, 3rd District. Thank you very much.
And also running in the 3rd District is Sheila Bergeron. Sheila.
Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the groups for sponsoring this and for all of you who came out to hear us. That's always gratifying to know that we have people who are interested in going to come out on a kind of nasty night like tonight. I think that South Bend is at a crucial point at this time. And I think there are many challenges that we face, which have mostly been mentioned here tonight. And I think this is our opportunity to turn things around. And not for Newsweek to list us as a dying city, but hopefully in a few years to list us as a thriving city. And we can do that, you know, we can do that. And I see in the paper where groups are cleaning up blocks and cleaning up neighborhoods, and people are willing to help and get out and do what they can. But we need leadership, and I think we need new ideas. And hopefully I can bring some of that along with some of the other people up here also. But we do need to revitalize this city and restore the pride to the city that we once had. I think, you know, our citizens, we all need to feel proud of where we live. And we need to feel proud of our neighborhoods and safe in our neighborhoods. And, you know, that's not only for the citizens that live here, but for visitors who come to South Bend, we want them to see a positive, thriving city. And so I think we need to work towards that, as well as those who are looking to invest money in our city and bring jobs to South Bend. I think there's so much that we need to do to create that impression, but yet it isn't that difficult either, nor is it that expensive. We need to resurface our streets and not have potholes where people bump their way into the city and down and around the city, as well as sidewalks and curbs. You know, I mean, that gives the impression of a city. That's what visitors and investors see a lot of times when they come to our city. And we aren't doing such a great job in that area, I don't think. We need safe neighborhoods where people can get out and walk and feel comfortable in doing so. Every night you read in the paper, or every morning, I should say, where someone has been held up. I just saw today someone was held up going home from church. Those things shouldn't happen. You know, we have to look out for one another, and we need city leaders who will help us do that.
30 seconds.
Okay. There's so many other things I want to say. Hopefully I'll ask the questions and I can do that. But again, my name is Sheila Bergeron. I think I have the education and experience, so it'll make me a good council member. I promise I'll always be accessible and always listen to you. So I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Also running in Council District 3 is Valerie Schey, who is right here.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. My name is Valerie Schey, and I'm running in the 3rd District for South Bend City Council. I am encouraged whenever we as American citizens take the time to discuss public policy and seek reasonable compromise. In my opinion, this free and open exchange is the cornerstone of our democracy. I realize that my political philosophies may differ from many of yours here tonight, but I always appreciate the opportunity to learn from one another. In terms of economic policy, I would describe myself as a moderate Democrat. I am in favor of reasonable taxes, appropriate regulation, and modifying some of our entitlement programs. However, in terms of social policy, I would best describe myself as a progressive Democrat. I do not support or endorse any form of prejudice or discrimination, and I feel best when the government is not interfering in our personal lives. With that, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I am 41 years old. I grew up in a town called Morton Grove in Illinois. It's a blue-collar, middle-class town. My dad worked in a factory, and my mom worked as a waitress. I graduated from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign with a bachelor's degree in biology in 1991. I have worked for 2 large multinational corporations, IBM and GlaxoSmithKline, in sales and marketing, and I have established 1 small, not-for-profit organization called Care of South Bend. My parents raised me and my two sisters with patriotic values and a strong work ethic. My parents were very committed to serving our community and helping others. My father was a union steward for the UAW, and my mother volunteered her time to help children with muscular dystrophy. Through their example, I learned the importance of civic duty and service. My husband and I moved to South Bend from Glenview, Illinois in 2005. I have been actively volunteering at South Bend Animal Care and Control since 2008, and I have served as the citizen member of the Health and Public Safety Subcommittee of the South Bend Common Council in both 2009 and 2010. In addition to those activities, I have volunteered at a number of local community events. With regards to the issues, I think we can all agree that economic growth and development needs to be our number one priority. Without jobs, all the other issues are moot. However, without a desirable community for potential employers and employees to invest in, work in, live in, jobs will be hard to come by. It's a catch-22. In order to attract more investment in our community, I think three things need to happen. First, we need to streamline the process a potential investor must go through to pursue opportunities in St. Joseph County. I have been told by a number of people that the process of securing all the necessary approvals and permits is currently so burdensome that many investors will walk away because of the inefficient process. Second, as Carl King and John Bruce pointed out in their benchmarking South Bend study, we need to move beyond our legacy industry mix. South Bend's highest concentration of employment are in industries that are declining nationally. We need to work closely with Notre Dame, Mine, and the Harper Institute of Cancer Research to ensure that when the research being done today is ready to be commercialized, the production stays here in our community and does not move out of state or overseas. Finally, I believe we also need, Finally, I believe we need to aggressively market South Bend to investors that are currently located in Cook County, Illinois. Although we are only 75 miles south of Chicago, our cost of living is significantly less and would be very appealing to companies looking to relocate their business to reduce their costs. When my husband and I moved here in 2005, we were stunned with the low cost of housing here. We were equally pleased with the low taxes. For example, the tax of an average homeowner in Cook County was approximately $4,000 in 2009. By comparison, in South Bend, the mean was only $1,010. It's a quarter of what Cook County resident would pay. So I think we need to market our city better in Cook County. Although these steps would be just beginning, I believe they would provide a good start. Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to the 4th district, where Gary King was a maybe and was not able to join us. That takes us to Thomas Cavanaugh.
Hi, I'm Tom Cavanaugh. I'm running for council in the 4th District. I want to thank you all for coming out on this splendid spring evening. Prior to retiring from my job a year ago, I had considered numerous times running for council in the 4th District in South Bend. However, I knew that I wouldn't have the time that was needed or the ability to make the meetings that were necessary. Now, I believe that I can commit to that, and I believe that I'm the only candidate that can commit that much time to the job. The reality is South Bend can no longer tolerate part-time leadership. Someone or anyone that's not willing to make the necessary commitment to do the job. South Bend's become too large with too many problems. My education, professional experience makes me a candidate qualified to address the issues facing the district of the 4th District. I have a marketing degree and 20 plus years experience in marketing. South Bend needs to create and bring to the city new jobs that pay a meaningful wage, not jobs that pay minimum wage. I believe with my marketing experience and my expertise that I'm uniquely qualified to bring those jobs to our city. We also need to help the existing businesses in our area increase their size and at the same time increase their employment and their wages. I believe that I can help make that happen. South Bend Common Council needs to take seriously the responsibility to enhance the image of our community so that we never again have stories like the one that appeared in Newsweek. Again, I'm going to use my marketing experience to make sure that that doesn't happen. We need to publicize the good points of our city, not focus on the negatives. I think this is the greatest city I've ever lived in, and I believe that we're in a position to generate jobs from other communities and so forth that don't have what we have to offer. South Bend Common Council District 4, where I live, has an incredible neighbor to the north, and that's the University of Notre Dame. I would partner with South Bend to bring jobs to the community. They have a vast number of alumni that are executives, business owners, and so forth, and I would ask Notre Dame to help us market to these people. After all, they come back to South Bend every year for football games and other events, so they're familiar with our community. There's no reason we can't do that. Lastly, South Bend needs to make our neighborhoods safe so that the people feel comfortable. Walking our streets. We need to increase police presence on the streets, and we need to make the streets look presentable to the people. I believe that I have a program that can make that happen also. And lastly, I would tell you that I'm running for council in District 4, and I would appreciate your vote, and my name is Tom Cavanaugh. Thank you.
Also running for 4th District is Marcus Ellison.
Well, thank you. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. First, I'm going to want to tell you a little bit about me, then I want to go into why I decided to run for City Council this year, and then last I want to go into a little bit about some of the specific things that I want to do as the next 4th District City Council representative here in South Bend. First, I want to acknowledge my father and grandmother who are out here in the audience. Thanks, I love your support, and indeed it's the love and support of my family that had a lot to do with why I decided to run for City Council this year. I was born and raised here in South Bend. I grew up on Haas Drive near Bain Park here in the heart of the 4th District. My parents are from here. I have a daughter, 12-year-old daughter that lives here in South Bend, and I know that this is where I wanted to settle, where I wanted to be long term. I graduated from Edison Middle School, John Adams High School, went off to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. for 4 years, and then came back to the University of Notre Dame for law school. Much like Tom has said, I do think it's important for the 4th District and the city of South Bend as a whole to partner with Notre Dame in order to promote economic development. And that's something I plan to do. I will leverage my contacts from being an alum there, from my father being an alum there. I serve on a minority alumni board at the University of Notre Dame. And I've met and talked with several of the leaders already about the things that are important to them in the 4th District and what needs to be done in terms of partnering with the residents that live there in off-campus areas in order to address the concerns that benefit both the university and the city as a whole. We heard Henry earlier talk about the success that Eddy Street Common has had in terms of economic expansion in the 4th District. And I would definitely support that. And I understand that we need to see Eddy Street Commons in all 6 districts here in South Bend. And that's one of the things that I would want to work towards as the next city council representative, because that is the type of thing that is important and that we need to do. As a person that's young and active and that has a daughter that lives here in town, what we need to do is seek opportunities to bring families back to the city. One of the things that we've seen in terms of the census, losing 6.5% of our population over the past 10 years, I firmly believe that South Bend has the assets and the people and the things that are necessary in order for the city to grow and thrive. So again, as mentioned earlier, we're not in the Newsweek type article as a dying city. It's just about bringing a new attitude, new leadership, and new vision to the council. This is a wonderful opportunity because we have the first open marriage rate in a generation to really see some significant change and a chance to do things and get away from doing things the way that we've always done, which the city government has done a lot at times in the past in part, just doing something because that's the way we've always done it. Now is the time to do something better with the new mayor and the new council. I think we'll have that opportunity, and I look forward to having the opportunity to be a part of that. In terms of some of the specific things that I said I would like to do as the next city council representative for the 4th District, is I think the city needs to look for other opportunities to bring income and revenues in the city above and beyond raising taxes as we saw that the city did last year. I'd like to see the city designate someone to be a full-time grant writer to seek out revenue sources both for the city as well as partnering up with school corporations, with other nonprofit organizations in order to bring programs and opportunities into the city that don't rely on increasing the tax rate or the tax base. One of the things we've also seen in the paper recently is about the TIF districts. The city had several areas in the city that the money's gathered and it's used for economic development, but there's a lot of money sitting in a lot of these TIF districts, $30, $40 million that's not currently being used for economic development. The city either needs to use that money to develop it as the TIF districts are designed, or we need to return that money back to the people so that it can go towards other things that the city needs in order to fund many of the operations that the city has. Finally, I'd like to see the city seek to reduce its budget by partnering with surrounding governmental areas in order to leverage buying things at a heavier discount, road salt, training, office supplies. These are things that South Bend uses, Mishawaka uses, the county uses. We ought to buy those things together as opposed to everyone buying individually so that we can get greater economies of scale and discount and use that as a way in order to get more money to fund the city budget and again, to get away from the tax issues. So in conclusion, I'm going to say again, dedicated, I'm going to work hard as your city council representative in the 4th District to bring about all these things, to bring people, like I said, families back to the city. And I believe if we do that, that would solve so many of the other problems that we face in South Bend. Once again, my name is Marcus Ellison, and I hope to be your next city council representative for the 4th District of South Bend. Thank you.
Next on your ballot list is Fred Ferlic, and he was having trouble getting here and hasn't been able to do that at this point, so we'll watch for him later on. We do have the next candidate, Jim Neal.
Hi everybody, glad everybody come out tonight. My name's Jim Neal. I live in the 4th District, born and raised in the 1st District, and moved to the 5th District. Everybody needs to know that Joe Surge used to work in that 1st District and be the councilman. When you called Joe Surge, he took care of business. He didn't wait. He didn't wait for somebody else to show up. You called his house, didn't matter night or day, he took care of it. I work at AM General. I am a UAW Local 5 member. I know what good paying jobs are. I know what the benefit packages are. I know what the good insurances are. I go through the district and I ask the businessman, what do you need? He says, I can't get anything done because of the red tape. I said, what do you mean red tape? He says, it takes me 6 months to get anything of my property or anything done in my district. Bringing new businesses in, they said, they can't even get the help that the new businesses get when they come in. They don't get the tax abatements. They don't get the help. We have a base here in town that needs help too. We can't just bring new businesses and worry about our old, not worry about them at all. They need help too. The 4th District has Eddie Commons, and everybody says that, we spent too much money there. I went there Monday night for dinner. The place was packed. Everybody was having a good time. It was raining. Now, everybody thinks that's just for the Notre Dame football games. It's not. We need to take that model and pass it through the other districts. They need that help too, and if that model can work in other districts, that's great. The other point I want to make is the residents of my district aren't even getting help, what they need. They come to me and they say, hey, I called this department, I called that department. I've got a neighbor on my street, got a hole in the ground. It's washed out 3 inches underneath the street. He calls the city department, comes out. I said, did you get anything? He says, oh yeah. He says, wait till it caves in. Now why should we wait for that safety issue to bring up something? This is why a councilman is in his district. He is to take care of everybody. He works for them. That's why I'm running. Everybody keeps saying, well, we're going to do something, we're going to do something, we're going to do something. Nothing gets done. When Joe Surge, you called him up in the middle of the night, he was there there the next day. He took care of business. Didn't matter what time of day it was. He took care of business. I'm running for that position in the 4th District. I know what that district needs. I know these people need help, and I want to help the businesses grow. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. My name is Jim Neal. Thanks again.
Next candidate on your ballot is Councilman Tim Rash, who we did not hear back from. And surprise, not on your primary ballot, but on your November ballot, there will be an independent candidate for City Council District 4. He's here tonight, Kyle Chamberlin.
Good evening. So to get back to that independent part later, I know it's a little bit non-traditional and not something we're all familiar with. My name is Kyle Chamberlin. I'm a lifelong resident of Michiana, homeowner in the Hard Heights neighborhood. I am running for South Bend Common Council District 4. I'm a licensed attorney here in Indiana, and I'm currently completing a visiting faculty appointment at the University of Notre Dame. As best I can tell from the archives of the library, I am in fact the first independent candidate for local office since 1932. So this is admittedly, and that was for county sheriff. I couldn't find any municipal independent candidates. But oddly enough, if you look at those ballots from the 30s, there's 10 different parties. There were a lot of choices back then. So this isn't all a new, crazy idea that we would have other options on the ballot and a new, different paradigm for how we elect our local officials. I won't be participating in the May party primaries, as Tim said, but I have collected the required signatures to appear on the November general election ballot. So there will be a third option on the ballot for District 4 this fall. I trust that my decision to run as an independent evidences my genuine intent to do things differently than we've become accustomed to things being done in South Bend. And I recognize this isn't the way you're supposed to run for office, but I would ask you to consider where the way you're supposed to do things has gotten us for the last 50 years. You're going to hear me a lot tonight and going forward referencing SB 4G, my vision for South Bend. The premise for that is a simple one. First, is that the council needs to understand the role of that body. And this is where I would differ a little bit more earlier. The role of the council is not to be the direct responder to the citizens. Certainly they are meant to be responsive to the citizens, but the city departments are the primary contact for the issues in the neighborhood. The role of the council is a body of analysis, a body of yes or no proposals that the administration brings forward. They're meant to be competent in all areas, but they're meant to maintain an arm's length from the internal functions of the city so that they can not get too bogged down in the daily happenings, but be a function of a board, function as a board. Someone that says, yes, this makes sense, no, this doesn't. Where are you going with that? Question the decisions of the administration, not be a rubber stamp. From the city's incorporation in 1865 until the eve of World War I, geography was our main asset. We flourished as a city based on trade. The next 50 years, the heyday of South Bend, manufacturing brought prosperity. I would argue that the third generation of South Bend, the last 50 years, complacency has equaled in decline. So right now, as we stand at the dawn of our 150th anniversary here in 4 years, what's going to be the story of South Bend's fourth generation, SB 4G? I'm happy to share with you my specific thoughts on that, but basically it boils down to we need a comprehensive vision that is clear from the mayor's office and supported by a council who is on the same page. I invite you to visit my website at www.sb4g.info, and that address is available on the table. Thank you for your time this evening.
Moving on to City Council District 5, we have incumbent David Varner. Dr. Varner.
I think you can probably hear me, and I will do this without the microphone. There's something about me standing at a pulpit that I'm sorry. I'm going to do it again. I feel a lot better about it. My name is Dave Varner. I've been the 5th District Councilman for the last, well, it's been about 15 years for the city of South Bend. That's the southeast side of South Bend. It includes the old Scottsdale, which is now Ellison Village. And we've heard a lot of great ideas tonight, and I would say I have to agree in a lot of ways with the gentleman who was just here. Kyle has understood that while the job of the councilman is to be responsive to the needs of the constituency, the fact of the matter is the state statutes give us very little responsibility with regards to ordering something done or ordering this done. We count on cooperation. Now, the single greatest thing that any council person for the city of South Bend ever has been able to do has been to see to it that financially the city of South Bend is in good, sound financial order. We've got two choices going forward as of right now. We can try the old way, which has been to try and tax ourselves into prosperity. I will tell you, I believe that taxing ourselves into prosperity is fundamentally impossible. Census figures show that we're down about 6.5%. Census figures from about 20 years ago would tell you that the city of South Bend is down 30,000 people. Our only solution, long-term, is to grow our way out of this. That takes us back to the sound financial practices of the city. That takes us back to looking for new solutions. Some questions you might find yourself having to ask is, particularly in the case of the fire department, and this is nothing against Mr. Kursitz, who is on the council with me, but if you have the same number of fire stations and firehouses today that you had for 130 people, is it necessary? Perhaps we need more ambulances and less fire apparatus. These are the things that council people have to ask themselves, have to present to the mayor, have to discuss with folks, and from there we make the decisions going forward. It can be, and it will be, a new day in the city of South Bend with an open mayor seat. I've been a resident of South Bend. I grew up here. My family's here. My small business is here. It's been an honor to represent the folks on the South Side. I hope they are willing to return me for another 4 years. I promise to do what I've done in the past. That's try and be objective, try and be honest, try and be forthright. And I won't shy away from, when you read in the newspaper, the council voted 8-1. That's probably me. I think it's something that's very important. I have done it in the past. I will continue to do it in the future. My name is Dave Varner. I thank you for your support in the past. I hope that I can return for another term. Thank you so much.
Okay, then as we move to Council District 6, I have not heard from Jim Stewart or Oliver Davis, but we have Tony Ross.
I too will not use the microphone. I don't feel very comfortable holding that in my hand. My name is Tony Ross, and I'm running for 6th District City Council. I was raised here in South Bend by two very hard-working middle-class parents who gave me a lot of the values and benefits that have made me the person that I am today. I'm running for City Council based on commitment and dedication. And that commitment and dedication comes from, one, my public service record. Pretty much since my adult life, since I was 19, I've served in some type of mode of public service. I started out in the military, in the Army Reserves, where I served 22 years as a commissioned officer. I retired in 2007. At age 22, I started my other public service career in law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement almost 23 years now. So I'm running on that commitment and dedication that I have as a public servant. And as a leader, I believe that a trait of a leader is a servant. And that's the type of leader that I am. I serve the people that I work for, the people that I lead, my subordinates. I serve them. And as a city councilman, that's what I do. I will serve the people in my district. There's a lot of good innovative ways that people have mentioned about what South Bend needs. And I tell you, and I agree with a lot of them. Some of them I don't agree. I believe we have a great city. I believe we have a city that's moving forward. I believe we have a city that has a good base to move forward. I think the last 2 years I spent working on a master's degree in public administration, and a lot of the things, the classes that I took, are a lot of things that are happening in South Bend are coinciding right along with those budgeting classes that I've had, urban planning classes that I've had, policy development classes that I've had. So I decided to run again to put that experience that I have through public service and through the military and law enforcement, along with my education. I think, like I said, South Bend is a great city. We have a lot of committed, dedicated people that want to see it flourish and continue to flourish. You know, I think I would like to see the authors of the Newsweek article about us being a dying city and about our youth moving out, if they would look at this race, about how many young people we actually have that are running in this race. I think they might think, again, about this being a dying city. Now, I ran in the last election. I can tell you, youth-wise, we didn't have the numbers that I'm seeing today. And that makes me proud that, one, we're bringing back our youth here to the city. Also, what I would like to see for the city is a lot of our talented city employees come back to the city. I've been on the police department for 16 years, and it's probably no wonder to people, about 74% of our officers live outside the city limits. I'd like to see those officers come back to our city, and our firemen come back and live in the city. We do have a good city. Like I said, you know, our schools need some help. I have some ways that I would I'd like to work with the mayor and other council members on how improving our schools and the education, because I believe our children can get a good quality education here in South Bend. As you see, some of the people that have graduated that are running in this race and the degrees that they have. So please, like I said, come May, I'd like to be your representative. I'd like to be the champion of the people of the 6th District while I sit on the city council. Thank you.
Question number 1. When the census data was published, we found that the county grew by an average of 25%, while 5 tracts inside the city dropped by about the same percentage. As the total population of the county remained the same, what do you attribute the shift, and what do you propose to do to reverse this trend? How do you stop the folks from leaving South Bend and going to live in the county? Yes. Yeah, each of you can come up and take the mic, and should I just, does everyone want a shot at this? Should we just pass it right down the line? Let's do that. We'll start here, and then just pass it on down. If you don't want to say anything, obviously just pass it to the next guy. It appears you're not on.
It appears I'm the lucky individual who gets to go first. Once again, Gavin Ferlic, District 4. My thought on that is twofold. Yes, it is very important that we have a property tax base here in the city of South Bend. The urban core is an important thing, and I think the trend across the country we see is for urbanization. People are starting to realize the limitations of subdivisions in the outer realms of the county and wanting to be back close to the heart of the city. That said, we need to stop thinking of ourselves as South Bend versus everything else. We succeed or fail as a region. Success in Mishawaka is important for the city of South Bend, just as success in the city of South Bend is important for Mishawaka. We are a metropolitan statistical area, not just a municipality. So I think we need to champion successes in those regions and make sure that we have, obviously, a property tax base, but if we're losing population, we need to be right-sizing the services that are provided. We heard earlier, 130,000 at South Bend Peak, down to 100,000. Well, we seem to still be operating like we have 130. We can spread people out across the region and still be successful.
Well, one thing I want to really get at real quick about the census tracts and people moving out to the county area versus remaining in an urban environment of the city of South Bend. People just generally vote with their feet. When they don't like things that are going on, when they feel like they don't have a cry in the wilderness, they get up and they leave. And I think that's the wrong approach as we are part of this whole democracy and we can organize this in America. And that's attributed to the past leadership, the past practices of the council looking to see saw it as being a rubber stamp. And so I'm so happy that these individuals that are up here right now are talking about questioning the status quo and talking about how we can make this better, challenging the issues that are before us, because what happens is that we will all grow and we will all understand that we need to get next. And that's the first thing about the census tracts. I think I missed the second part of the question. I think you said the first.
Well, what would you do to try to bring folks back?
Oh, well, one thing that you want to do is provide incentives. Some of those things
our tax abatements for new housing, but also make the neighborhoods more accommodating. People move to certain areas of the United States of America, to certain cities, because they are attracted to a neighborhood. The neighborhood has to provide a church, a school, close brochure, and just some accommodations as far as recreational within their own very neighborhood, so that people feel safe and they feel like that there are things around them that are close that they can get to without spending tons of dollars of gas or taking a kid clear out to some other school district or some place so they can be educated. So people need to feel like the accommodations are nearby and close.
Okay, thank you. That was Henry Davis. And Valerie Schey.
I think over the past 20 years, there's been a mass exodus from urban areas to the suburbs, and I find it kind of amusing that in such a small area we consider Granger to be a suburb, because we really in St. Joseph County are a small area. But that being said, I know when we moved here in 2005, I found it very interesting that the realtors don't even show you homes in South Bend. They take you directly out to Granger. It was through my efforts to look into South Bend that we found our home in South Bend, and I think that that needs to change. I think that realtors and those who market the city need, South Bend has gotten such a bad rap, and after we've all said all the bad things about the city and crime and all of that, there's a lot of really good things going on here in the city too. And for people who relocate to South Bend, there's a certain appeal of living in an urban environment where you have sidewalks and neighborhoods and not urban sprawl. And so I think, in my opinion, one of the things that we as a city need to do better is to market some of the more charming qualities, for lack of better terms, of urban living, which I personally enjoy very much. I like being able to walk to the river and walk to the parks and those sorts of things when you live out in the county where it's just wide open spaces and you don't have that sense of community. It's a whole different lifestyle. So I think we need to market South Bend much better than we have been.
All right. That was Valerie Schey.
Okay, thank you. I kind of want to echo some of what Valerie said, that I do think perception is a significant part of it. You know, the Newsweek article really hit home for a lot of people. No one wants to live in an area that's considered to be a dying city. It becomes difficult to market that. You know, people, that's one of the first things they hear about South Bend that are from here. They just have that perception, well, that's not where I want to go, or I would want to live, stay, raise a family, that type of thing. And much like Henry said, people vote with their feet. People, when they're trying to decide where to live, where they want to raise their family, you know, what are the schools like? You know, what is crime like? Is someone going to come in and, you know, rob my house, kick in my door? Are there going to be code violations? Are there going to be strong public schools that we can go to? And, you know, what are the likelihood for, you know, strong economic prospects in the area? And those are all things that I think South Bend, unfortunately, gets a bad rap for. While there are things that the city certainly needs to improve in all those areas, they aren't nearly, you know, as bad as the reputation tends to be. And some of those, one of the things that I think we need to do as a city is, with new council and new mayor, is to, as I said, stress the things that are unique about living in the city, particularly, you know, some of the downtown type neighborhood and projects, some of the things that are involved, like Eddy Street Commons again, as that continues to expand. There are some really unique aspects that you can get out of living actually within the city boundaries as opposed to out in Granger in the suburban areas. And then we also need to do things to just simply, again, grow the city base, you know, and bring people back in to, you know, make sure we partner with the school corporation so that, you know, people don't have to worry about the state taking over certain schools, make sure that we work with the police departments to make sure that people feel safe and secure in all of the neighborhoods in South Bend, and, you know, continue to work to convince people that there's job and economic prospects and opportunity. If you satisfy those three things, people will want to live in the city because of some of the advantages of, again, you know, the low cost of living and the idea that you can live close to a lot of different things, some of the recreational, cultural, and historical aspects that the city offers. Thank you.
Ellison and Gavin Ferlic.
Thank you. First, the question asked why. The primary reason is lack of available job opportunities. Complementing that is perception that South Bend is not safe, as well as a perception that South Bend schools are not strong. And finally, it has to do with annexation. When comparing us to cities like Fort Wayne, South Bend is not only landlocked, but it's also hampered by some pretty limited state laws that do not allow us to annex additional property. So a city like Fort Wayne, although they boasted 20% population increase, you will find that their city center actually decreased in population. So that's the why. How do we solve the problem? First, we need tangible solutions for economic development. We need to look at what other cities have done and bring that to South Bend. That involves making our tax rates for business property taxes more competitive. Currently, St. Joseph and Lake County have the highest business property tax rates in the state. We need to look at that. Make our tax abatement system simple and standardized, but also codify a way to hold businesses accountable. In addition, we need to solve the problem of brain drain, make the city more attractive to young individuals to want to move back here, raise their families. Finally, on the issue of public safety, what can we do? What are actual tangible steps we can take to make South Bend safer? First, we can require all new city employees, police officers, firefighters, city employees, to live in the city. This is what Chicago does. Currently, somebody said 67, I thought it was 67%. He said 74% of our police force lives outside the city. Requiring new officers to live inside the city automatically makes them safer. In addition, providing significant financial incentives. That's actually the main reason I am not accepting a salary or benefits. I think we need to provide significant financial incentives, and I'd like to donate my salary to a program where we give significant financial incentives to police officers to live in our most distressed neighborhoods. I think that's very important. Finally, we need a comprehensive strategy to solve our vacant and abandoned home problem. Thank you.
If I remember correctly in looking at that data, a lot of the people who are left are younger people. And one of the reasons that young people leave is because the economy is poor, there are no opportunities. Young people are not going to stay where there aren't good opportunities. By the way, the poor economy is not just South Bend, it's all over the country, it's all over the world. You should check that. So that's one reason that a group of them as well. Another group that's leaving is that Indiana has one of the oldest populations in the state, in the country, and St. Joe County has one of the oldest populations in the state of Indiana. So you have older people who are dying, but also are retiring and are moving toward sun cities around the world, in the country. If you pay attention, 6 million African Americans left the South between 1913 and 1970. A lot of those African Americans are moving back to the South because the South is better than it used to be. So those are some of the reasons. Some of the solutions is the city council has got to work together. It takes 5 votes to get anything done. No one person can do anything. I don't care how good looking they are, how well educated they are, how enthusiastic. You have to have 5 votes. That means you have to have influence, you have to have respect to get something done in the city council. The city council has got to work with the administration. The administration and the city council not working together is criminal, it's unacceptable, and we should not stand for it. With those two groups working together, we need to incent people. These vacant homes around the community, they don't all need to be torn down. A lot of them are good homes. We ought to give these homes to people and let them fix them up. If they fix them up in a certain amount of time, we ought to give them to them. Those kinds of incentives. The urban gardens, these vacant lots. There's many reasons they have to be full of trash and trees and neglected. They can be pocket parks. They can be gardens. And we can make them beautiful so that even if it's a vacant lot, it's an attractive vacant lot. And we need to enforce that vacant housing ordinance that I passed in 2007.
And then we have Tom Cavanaugh.
Right. I think that the biggest, we're not so much talking about, people just leaving the city with these things. We're talking about people being, moving to Granger and so forth out of the city. And the issue is truly the city does not promote itself. They stand by and allow us to be, allow our schools to be criticized by every organization possible. When the truth is we have some great schools in South Bend. Are there some that need some help? Absolutely. Should we as a city help those schools? Absolutely. We need to start our own campaign. The
The solution that the city thinks they have in place is we now have a liaison to work with realtors. I personally think that's extremely weak. Realtors are going to take them to the line of least resistance, which turns out to be Granger, okay? If we want to bring people into the city to live here, we need to promote it ourselves. You can buy $1 million house in South Bend, you can buy, it's incredible, you can buy a $20,000 house that's a very nice home. But nobody really knows that. When you come to town or whatever, the first thing they do is haul you to Granger and tell you about the Penn school system. We need to change that. We need to do it ourselves.
All right,
How do you stop the American dream? You know, I didn't grow up in the city of South Bend. My parents, it was their dream to move out to the county and provide a good environment for their children to grow up in. So how do you stop the American dream? I do believe we have to get more of our city employees back living in the city. And I agree with Gavin, we do have to give them incentives to move into the city. You know, it kind of disheartens me when I talk to new officers and I ask them, are you going to live in the city? And they say, hell no, I'm not going to live in this city. And I said, if the city's good enough to draw a paycheck from, it should be good enough to live in. We have a lot of good... We have a lot of good neighborhoods in our cities, and I can tell you, you can offer all the incentives, but you're not going to get officers to live in depressed areas. I believe that every officer that lives within the city should have some type of incentive. We currently have a take-home car program, and I believe that's a great program, but I tell you what, it doesn't serve the city, South Bend residents any good to have a brand new police car sitting out in Granger or in Osceola. I agree with our take-home car program, and that should continue, but city officers that live in the city should get that benefit. And that's the benefit that the city residents of South Bend should have. Also, it's public safety. People do not come to the city because they think our schools are not safe. Okay, that's the biggest reason. They're not going to move here and raise a family because they don't want to send a child to our schools. If I get on the city council, I'd like to work with the mayor's staff, and I think in the school corporation, we can do all the round tables and things like that with the school corporation, but there has to be that perception of safety in the schools. And I totally think that the school corporation needs to start its own law enforcement, have its own police. Currently, we have school resource officers that are assigned to the high schools and to the intermediate schools. School corporations can't start their own police departments. And I think a 20, 30, 40, 50-man police department in the South Bend schools where they have at least 5 school police officers assigned to the high schools, middle schools, that's going to give that perception of a safe school. And it is going to be a safe school because they're going to be able to go out and do the things, the law enforcement things inside that school campus that needs to be done, which our officers, like I said, our school resource officers do a great job. I was the school resource officer, one of the first ones, but one officer in a high school and one officer between 2 intermediate schools, you just cannot do it. It's just too much work. I think the school should have their own police agency or their police department to make the schools safer. Thank you.
Can I propose that we ask another question? I think, well, unless you guys want to continue in this way, I think that maybe ask a question, have 3 people answer that question in one.
Okay, we can do that.
I like going to church on Sunday, but we may be here till then. So. No offense, I mean, it's cool. It's a great place.
All right, well, the questions tend to overlap, so probably if you felt there was something you didn't get to say about that last one, you'll be able to segue at the end on the next one. Because the next question is, everyone is talking about bringing jobs to South Bend. Tell me how you will do that.
You go first. Hey, I solved that first problem. Actually, the city has, a 55-page tax abatement ordinance, I believe. That's very cumbersome for anyone. It's when you're recruiting good jobs here, not just good jobs, but careers. You almost approach it like if you have someone who's sent a resume, you have a job opening, you're going to get 100 resumes for that job. And right away, for whatever reason, 95 of those resumes are going to end up in the trash. South Bend needs to make sure that we're one of those 5 finalists, and because we have such a cumbersome process, we're
usually one of those 95 that end up in the garbage can. We need to make it very efficient and very easy for not just companies looking to relocate, but companies that are already here. It's certainly nice to be able to recruit companies looking to relocate in whatever their industry is, whether it's business, technology, healthcare, manufacturing, whatever. Let's roll out the red carpet for these businesses and make it easy and efficient for them to flourish here and create a competitive marketplace. That's going to bring good people here, good, not just good jobs, but good careers.
Mike Stepp.
Yeah, you know, I thought a lot about this. I'm not even sure what we're doing now, to be honest with you. But obviously it isn't working that well. So we do need to find new ways. And I would suggest, and I mean a volunteer panel when I say this, I don't mean paying a panel. But there are cities who have turned it around and who are making it work and who are getting new businesses. I think we need to look and see what they're doing, what works, you know, and implement that here in South Bend. I would form a panel, like I said, of private and public individuals and my businesses, and work with Notre Dame, as was mentioned earlier, and go at it from this angle rather than thinking we know everything when in fact we don't because it isn't working. So there's nothing wrong with doing a study and seeing what works and using that to our advantage. Thank you.
I'll go off the mic if everybody can hear me. How to bring jobs into South Bend. I'm a fiscal conservative. I don't like taxes. Okay, I don't want high taxes. I don't want moderate taxes. I'd rather not have low taxes. I want no taxes, okay? Well, we need to first change the tax base, I think. The abatement program, everybody's right, it is way too cumbersome. Okay, you're really going to make a company read through all that before they decide if they want to come to South Bend? I like what Mr. Neal said. Let's encourage the businesses here to grow. Let's offer them some incentive to hire new people. Again, if you hire people in, they're going to want to, bring their families here, and that solves the previous question we had with why are people leaving? They're maybe let's not look at why they're leaving, but what incentive do they have to stay? The public opinion is the schools in South Bend are not quality. Again, it was mentioned PHN, which is where everybody runs to. Okay, well, I'm not sure whose mistake it was, but if South Bend schools can't get a billboard right, or whoever's fault it was, what perception does that send to the community? And that's what it is. It's a perception, I think, that people have of South Bend and the fear of living in the city, coupled with the fact that they don't have a job. Okay, but if they have a job, maybe if it's in my 3rd district, okay, Mishawaka Avenue, one of the highest concentrations of business in the city. I believe it's higher than downtown. So we each have, I think, that little nugget in our areas. We just have to figure out how to make that nugget grow. And then they'll hire people that live in that community, in the River Park, Sunnymead, South Side, Scottsdale, wherever it may be. West Side. My parents grew up, went to LaSalle Line. So I'm just saying, we have the business. Let's grow it. Let's get people hired into those businesses. Let's offer those businesses some incentive. And like I said, I think it's cyclical. You solve jobs. You solve vacant housing. At the same time, you solve crime. Chris Adamo in the 3rd.
Dustin Saunders.
I think it's not a one thing to bring jobs back to the city. I think you're not going to get any business to South Bend, no matter what tax abatement policy you have, no matter how simplified you make it, if they come down Lincoln Way West from the airport and see streetwalkers and drug dealers and abandoned homes. You have to fix the problems we have in order to get these businesses to live here. One of the things I'm doing personally is I'm going to Ivy Tech to get a business administration degree. One of the things we just did was a franchise paper in my business class. And looking at franchise after franchise, they all have their own criteria for moving to a city. They already know where they're not going. And right now, we have all the qualifications of a place they are not coming. So in order to get jobs here, we need to get the vacant and abandoned homes under control. We need to look at our school system. One of the main things that just bugs the living heck out of me is the fact that we don't have neighborhood schools. Okay? Look over here on the west side, Kennedy, LaSalle. Look at what those neighborhoods were when I was younger, and look at them now. Okay? Just because they're nice high-dollar academies does not mean that they're serving the community the best that they can. Okay? Those buildings do not service anyone that lives within a several-mile radius of those buildings. Okay? We need our neighborhood schools, especially on this side of town. We need to get our school system back on track. And I hope, and I know I'm in church, but I pray that our school board does the right thing with this superintendent search. Because it could be the start or the end of our school system.
Dustin Saunders.
Well, I too am going to try to go off mic here for just a moment. A number of these questions that we're having come up, a lot of the solutions are going to be kind of an all-encompassing type of a situation. We have a real perception problem here in South Bend nationally, i.e. that number 8 article that everybody keeps referring back to. Whether that's reality in our hearts here in South Bend, or whether that's just a perception nationally, we have to wake up and at least address it. How do we address that? And this goes to the jobs, it goes to people moving out into the counties, it goes to people moving to other states. It kind of encompasses a lot of different areas. How do we address that? Well, we have these TIF districts, as we've been reading in the paper all week about. 40% almost of our land mass is inside of TIF districts. We have a handful of opportunities every year with each and every Notre Dame home game. You want to see how many people are coming into this area from outside the area, you have to look no farther than the airport and look at all the private jets that land and take off out there in a 24-hour time frame during a Notre Dame home game. Those aren't just Notre Dame home game events. Those are opportunities for this city to really shine. Now, let's look at one of those TIF districts, the airport TIF districts as an example. They drew that TIF district all the way down to the Cove, all the way down to the police station, and down into the new Innovation Park area. Well, that money is there for renovation, to be put into those TIF districts. Well, when these people are coming into town, and if they're flying in on private jets, what are they? They're private business owners, they're wealthy individuals, they're individuals that can invest in any city in the country that they really want to. They are coming back here because they love the university. Are we putting our best foot forward when they drive down Lincoln Way, or Western, or any of these major thoroughfares that we've talked about? Not at this point we're not. That money is sitting there in those TIF districts available for these type of projects. We can use that money to help re-innovate our entryways into the city, and that is the first starting point of where we can grow. That will help not only the national perception, that will help the local perception as well. That will help people feel safer, more secure. It will help people have the idea that they can come into the area. Now, in addition to that, obviously, we have to look at our tax structure. We have to look at a lot of the other areas that businesses look at. Tax codes, property taxes, and those type areas. And obviously, 90 seconds is going to run out very quickly.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. So, thank you, Keith Beringer.
Keith Beringer. Let's ask more questions so you can...
The last thing you want to do is get me started on TIF districts, so I'm going to kind of avoid that for the minute. Since I've been around for as many years as I have, I can tell you there were probably 3 principal things that I saw that led to what I think is, or what is now recorded, or decline. First goes back to about 1980 when we saw a large explosion of subdivisions, and a lot of people attributed it to concerns about the school corporations. I don't know whether that was true or not, but I know that that was the attribution. And I think we started to see decline at about that time. The second thing that I think has contributed a lot is the property tax discrepancy. You used to have a house in South Bend that was worth $100,000 and you were paying $3,000 or $4,000 taxes in some instances. If you were in the county, you were paying considerably less. Now, the legislature in a large fashion corrected that with the much maligned Senate bill and House Bill 10001 several years ago. Houses are supposed to be assessed relative to the value of the house. You're supposed to be able to document that. And your cap at 1% says if you have a $100,000 house, you should not pay, whether you're in the city or the county, more than $1,000. So that part should not be an issue going forward. The last one, and I'm going to I challenge every one of the council people here, whoever's here the next council, you're going to be part of a council that potentially can change what I think is another one of the biggest factors. And that was an unwillingness of the council to challenge a mayoral project when they said, and how many times have you heard this? We have to get everybody on the same page. Okay? What if it's the wrong page? What if the mayor has picked the wrong page? Don't get me started on that one either. Now, I think that in large part has accounted for the decline. I don't think the weather has helped in the last few years. The government can't do anything about that. The one thing I think we can do in the future to help grow this city, and I think it's imperative, I honestly don't believe that the combined Chamber of Commerce that we have in the city, that we have in the county, which operates on behalf of the county, truly looks out for the city of South Bend personally. That's not to malign any of the people there. They're all nice people. I don't even have a mic. I don't believe that the Chamber leadership looks out personally, specifically for the city of South Bend. I think that too often the interests of some other parties are looked at. I'm a little concerned, as much as I like Jeff Ray, and he's a great guy, and he will be a good spokesman for the county. I think if Jeff Ray finds himself in a dilemma, and he's the former mayor of Mishawaka, South Bend, Mishawaka, South Bend, I think the advice is going to go, why don't you go look at Mishawaka? And that's not a criticism of Jeff Ray. I think he's doing what he sees is probably right. So I think that South Bend, in one way, shape, or form, has to have a chamber representative for themselves that will take direct calls, will keep those calls in South Bend, just like a real estate agent would do if you're calling about a property. That, I think, will make a huge difference. And we will know that the calls that come to us will be addressed. Thank you.
All right. The question was, what would I do? Yeah, what would I do to bring jobs and businesses back? First and foremost, make the city more appealing to workers, because when employers are looking at places to move into, one of the things they go is, if we're going to transfer, our employees going to come? You know, sometimes in bad economies, you know, they kind of go, well, everybody will just move. As the economy starts to grow, they're going to start going, well, are we going to lose half of our staff if we say we're going to move 300 miles down the road? So it's working with the schools, it's working with the neighborhoods, it's working with the police to help work in those neighborhoods, fix some of the petty crime, things like that, passing my sex offender ordinance to keep sex offenders from living within 2,500 feet of a school, park, or playground. And the reason for that is, of course, because when people want to live somewhere, they'll move with the job. And when it comes to businesses, I'm going to propose a noble idea. Why don't we stay out of their way? Let them grow. Let them make some of the decisions. Let's work to make the tax structure more favorable to them, make us competitive with our neighboring counties, so that way we can bring in the businesses and the jobs, because the people of South Bend are just as fine of workers as anywhere else in the country. Let's make it work. Thank you very much, Cole Bell.
Jim Neal. No.
Everybody up here had a good idea. Let's work with the city. Let's make everything happen. One thing is, they're not doing that. Everybody's going their own ways. We don't have that in this town. We need everybody on board, whether it be the city, the mayor's office, whatever, the area plan commissioner. We need everybody on board. We don't have that. You've got this group over here. You've got this group over here. Why can't we meet and get the job done? Everybody up here is capable of doing this job. The difference between me and these people up here that are capable of doing this job, I'm going to roll my sleeves up. It's time to go to work. We don't need to talk about it. We need to get the job done. That's what needs to happen in South Bend. It's not just one thing that's happening in this town. It's many things that are happening. Whether it be the high crime rate, everybody opens a paper on Sunday and sees the little dots. We need to erase the dots. We need better education. My daughter went to Washington High School. Now she's in college. She did great out there. If we need help out in that district, let's help them. Let's just not throw them to the state and say, okay, it's your problem. No, it's our problem as a community. We need to have those things fixed. The jobs here, I've got people at work. One guy comes from Kokomo, one guy comes from LaGrange, another guy comes from Mexico City, Indiana. What's wrong with the people here in town? They move because tax rate's too high. There's not enough jobs. Well, down there's got the Ellison plant. Well, if that job doesn't work out at AM General, guess what? I'm going to go to the Ellison plant. No, move here. That's what we're telling them. Move here. Well, we can't do that. Crime rate's too high. Taxes are too high. We need to move as a community to make this happen. It's not that hard. Roll your sleeves up. It's time to go to work before we actually don't have a town to talk about. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad that people took a little liberty there and kind of answered globally the questions, because we run out of time for questions and we only really, in a sense, took one. We have a suggestion down there for our last 5 minutes. So, okay, it seems to me that you might have had like 30 seconds left if you want to get that
really quick. One thing that I want to reiterate this, because this is actually happening. This is something I've been part of. I co-sponsored a bill with some of the councilmen, I think it was 4 of us total, to make sure that we have a minority jobs bill that allows minority contractors and vendors to bid on city jobs or city things, like city services that they normally wouldn't be able to bid on. And so that's going to produce jobs for the lower class and blue-collar worker here in the city of South Bend, including women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and Hispanic business enterprises. The other job bill that was produced was another part of my work. We put together a resolution for Ignition Park to make sure that Ignition Park was being modeled to the rest of the world as a place that new businesses, new corporations, high-tech firms can move into. You see that now, as an example, with data centers moving in, that's going to be built. We also have an opportunity now, because of the amended ordinance that I was able to amend on council floor, is to allow a council person to sit at the table of the Architecture Review Board to make sure that project labor agreements can be addressed during the course of new zoning actions for the Ignition Park. So those are all jobs, and let's work with people here locally who have the skills, who are already skilled in making sure that businesses and buildings are being brought to life here. So we are working at this. This is something that's going to take hold, but it may take a little bit longer than we would like it to. But those are some of the jobs that we have been working at, and that has been produced under my leadership, under my direct leadership.
I think we probably reached the point where we're going to have to say, let's all adjourn for coffee and cookies and take questions to these folks. Because you asked so many good questions, we couldn't get to all of them. Take them to these folks directly and get your questions answered. And folks, thank you again. Let's hear it for all of you.